Welcome back and thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Now we want to dive into a conversation as I'd mentioned earlier. Joining me right now is CS Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. I'm talking about Engineer Eric Mugaa. Did I pronounce the last name right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening and thank you for hosting me.
Anytime. So straight to it, you were recently in Mwea Irrigation Scheme, where you announced plans to set up a task force to deal with rat infestation. Now this has caused some questions amongst Kenyans. Why is there need for a task force? Why not just find solutions and implement them directly? I mean, task force will equally cost Kenyans more money.
Kenyans described it as a task force, and I said it that way.
Okay.
But I think people overreacted to this.
Elaborate.
In Mwea right now, it is one of our best irrigation schemes in the country. In the past 1 or 2 years, there has been an infestation of golden apple snails and thousands of rats.
Okay.
When I got there, the first complaint I got was that. And immediately made a call to my colleague, because I'm not a professional in agriculture. To my colleague, CS Karanja, Ministry of Agriculture, and asked him if we can, my officers from the ministry, not these other external officers people think of task force and I'd bring into the picture. A few officers in my ministry from the State Department of Irrigation, a few officers from his ministry, and a few officers from pest control, government officers, already working in the ministry to help these people solve this solution, find a solution to this problem. But because it is a team that has been brought together, people blew it out of proportion.
Okay, you can say that, or let me just play the devil's advocates in this particular point.
Yeah.
You are a youthful CS, so people expect youthful solutions.
Definitely.
I mean, if you just Google online how to get rid of snails and rats,
actually,
they'll tell you
ducks I Googled
is one
that.
of the issue that can help.
But you should, Ashley,
also
find out what is the size of Mwea irrigation scheme.
I do get it is large.
35,000 acres of land. Out of that, 30,500 is already under irrigation. So, also, snails have become resistant to pesticides.
Yes.
So for this to come up to this level, it means the farmers have tried almost everything and it's not working.
Why not benchmark from, countries in Asia?
If you play that video at the end, I talked of, as we find out from what other irrigation schemes are doing in the world, it's not, all I meant is, it's not a single ministry solution. It is a solution as to involve us agriculture ministry, not these other expounded and ballooned kind of tasks to think about. It's a team of officers from my ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture, and also pest control.
So do we have timelines?
On this?
Yes, on this particular
Actually,
issue.
I'm drafting a letter to my colleague from the Ministry of Agriculture, and also because I had a conversation with Governor Kirinyaga County, Her Excellency Anne Waiguru. It's a team of all of us, officers, not these external people imported from all over, just officers from the ministry, already employed by the government, from my State Department of Irrigation, and officers from agriculture, pest control, and now the county government, because they are the people in touch with the ground. To find a simple solution. If Kenyans have suggested a lot of solutions, ducks, cats, to eat the rats, etc.
Yes,
etc. But also there is, in my conversation, I realized there is a lot of diseases within that. And also, these are things that we cannot take lightly. We need to find a solution, because we are solution-oriented. We have a problem, use the easiest means possible, get a solution. And I think that was blown out of proportion.
Okay.
But I understand, considering the surrounding other task forces, I think that was the wrong word.
Oh, yes, task force was the wrong word.
Let me call it a collaborative team
from
different ministries.
All right.
Of officers from different ministries.
Now that we can move away from that,
yes,
let's talk about solutions, because you said you're solution-oriented.
Okay.
So what are the government's plans to expand irrigation infrastructure and bring more land under irrigation, especially in arid and semi-arid regions, considering, we're thinking about being food secure?
Okay. Food security is one of the government's key agenda, and you're right on that. I think we have a lot of potential to grow our own food and minimize over-reliance on imported food. On matters food, mostly the State Department of Irrigation at the ministry is mandated to produce rice. To do this, especially in arid and semi-arid, considering that 82-83% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid, the solution to this is, first of all, bring more land under irrigation. How do you do that? First of all, you must have a source of water. And arid and semi-arid areas face a problem of rainfall. Ranges between 200, 300, 400 annually. This water is not enough to sustain rain-fed agriculture. So we are looking at exploring groundwater. There is a program at the ministry called micro irrigation schemes. This is where we do a bowl, that is groundwater, erect a tank, and use this water to irrigate land. But those are short-term solutions.
What are the long-term?
Long-term solutions require construction of large dams. I've always said in this country, we don't have a challenge with water. We have a challenge with storage. For example, if you go to Lower Tana today and analyze, because it is raining, and look at the volumes of water flowing in River Tana and River Athi, and all this water will end up in lake, in the Indian Ocean, having traversed thousands of kilometers of arid and semi-arid areas. But in the next 2 months, the volume of these rivers, Tana and Athi, will subside, and it cannot even support productive irrigation in large sectors of land. How do you solve that? You impound the water, that is storage. So the conversation of dams coming, large-scale dams coming.
Okay. But the Kenya Kwanza government, and I believe it was the first address of President William Ruto, I think it was in Mashujaa Day in 2022,
yes,
he promised to build 100 dams
yes,
to help in irrigation.
Yes.
So where are we at as a country?
On these dams, we are already building. Siwe Murunyi is ongoing. That is in Western Kenya. We have Uma Dam, that is in Kitui. We have the Wake Dam here in Makueni. We have Mwache Dam, already ongoing. These are projects apart from Siwe that I've already visited and made sure that contractor is on ground and progress is ongoing.
Completion date?
Siwe Murunyi, we are looking to complete by mid next year, because the contractor is at almost 84% completion. This I know has taken time, but this Siwe Murunyi, Uma Dam, and there's a dam in Kwale, Pemba, that is already ongoing, that's almost complete. And we have Makamini Dam. These dams are purely financed by the government of Kenya. And dams that are financed by the government of Kenya face funding challenges here and there. And therefore, the main target right now is to complete Siwe Murunyi. That is the main agenda.
Okay.
When this is completed, we shift the resources that are right now being split between Uma Dam and Siwe Murunyi to completely Uma Dam, which as we speak is at 17% and is expected to be completed in January 2027.
Okay.
When that is complete, we will have sourced for funds to solve the problem of Makamini Dam. And that is at almost 80%. The main challenge is our land issues, compensation issues. NLC, the National Land Commission, have done their job. So we are sourcing for funds to compensate the landowners and then finish the dam. These dams that are funded by GOK have that challenge of funding mostly. When we talk about Moache Dam, which is the flagship project in the coast region, then that's a different ballgame. Moache Dam is meant to alleviate the problems, water shortages in Mombasa. And if you look at it critically, you realize that it will also solve problems in Kilifi. It will solve problems in Kwale, because this is funded by Government of Kenya and also the World Bank. So World Bank financing is not a problem. This dam initially had faced challenges on land compensation. I think the RAP is the Settlement Action Plan to compensate people and restore their livelihoods, as is the requirement. We call them safeguards issues, was coming to about 4.6 billion. And you know, the development partner, who is the World Bank, in their framework, they fund the works. They don't fund acquisition of the land.
Okay. So
as we speak right now, we have paid almost 2.5 billion. But now we have a commitment with Treasury to access another 0.6 billion, that is 600 million, to offset the 2.1 remaining, and now ask for a different arrangement with the World Bank to finance us the remaining 1.5. And the issues of land will be sorted. But on matters progress, that dam is almost at 18%. It's a theme of beauty as we speak.
Okay. So now the dams that you've talked about, yes, once completed, will they solve the perennial issues that we have in the country year in, year out? We have long rains that leads to flooding. After flooding, we have drought.
Okay.
And all this is because we do not harvest water. Will this solve that challenge once and for all?
It is the first step towards solving this step. Moache will hold 136 million cubic. That's not a small amount of water. The Wake Dam here, which is also has been very contentious in the past, being at almost 90% now, will hold almost 118 million cubic. But considering the size, the landmass of Kenya, that is a drop in the ocean. Our per capita storage, that is storage per person, is around 107. And to be a stable country, we need to raise this to almost 1,500.
So how will we ensure equitable distribution of water across the country?
So we keep building dams. Otherwise, if we focus on the low-hanging fruits, whereby we build water ponds, we build mostly water ponds in arid and semi-arid areas, you know what happens to those with 3 or 4 years? Siltation.
So how many dams do we need to build? Because a Kenyan might be thinking in their heads, okay, so here we are, we have promised over 100 dams. We're not yet even at 2050.
We need more than, depending on the volume. So I can't give you an exact number because it depends on the volume.
Okay.
But I can give you key dams that can really push us towards completion of this agenda, attainment of this agenda. There is a proposed dam called High Grand Falls. Now, this will also take us to financing. High Grand Falls is supposed to store, according to preliminary designs, 5.6 billion cubic meters. Do you know what is the cost of that? This is along Tana River, somewhere at Tana, at the border of Kitui, Tharaka Nithi, and also Thams. It will touch some sections of Embu County.
Okay.
That will be the biggest dam we have around. But the cost of doing this dam will be almost 300 billion. 300 billion, one dam. This dam can produce 1,000 megawatts of power and irrigate more than 400,000 acres of land. Now, the challenge comes in. We have irrigation schemes. Forgive me, I will combine this because they're intertwined.
Okay.
We have irrigation schemes along Tana River. Talk of Bura irrigation scheme, which is in the lower Tana. When, as I said, when it rains, there's so much water flowing through Tana River, heading towards the Indian Ocean. So, and when it is raining is actually when we don't need irrigation. correct? But when we're in the dry period, this famine, the levels of Tana River goes down. So even the amount of irrigation that can be supported by irrigation schemes and other farmers along Tana River, of course, reduce because there's not enough water.
Okay.
Now, but with this dam as a balancing storage, 5.6 billion, we'll use that dam as a store of this surface runoff instead of getting it to the ocean. When the rivers of Tana River start dissipating, the volumes reduce, you now stabilize the flow from the dam, just like we are doing in Tiba Dam.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want us to move to something else.
Yes.
Just the other day, I think it was yesterday, if
Yes.
not today,
Yes.
you commissioned the 4.5 billion shillings Kigoro water treatment plant
Yes.
in Gatanga, Murang'a
Yes.
County. And this is meant to supply water to Nairobi, Kiambu, Machakos, Kajiado, and Murang'a counties.
Yes.
Now, from a Kenyan's point of view,
Yeah.
we're not short of projects. It's the implementation that is always the problem. How do we ensure that this water treatment plant will actually be implemented to the fullest in order to serve the residents of the areas that have been mentioned?
If I understood you correctly,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
the Kigoro treatment plant is already complete
Okay.
and
Yes.
commissioned.
Yes.
I think I'll give you a brief history of this project.
Please do.
Kigoro's treatment plant was built by a French company. It's a ultra-modern technology, the first of its kind, I think, in Kenya and also around East Africa. It's one of the best. It gets its water from Thika Dam, also known as Dakaini Dam in the local language. But this water also comes from a tunnel. That's why it's called a northern collector tunnel, collecting water deep in Murang'a from 3 rivers. So when these 3 rivers are tapped into a tunnel that goes into Dakaini Dam, there's a raw gravity main that comes from Dakaini Dam and gets water into the Kigoro treatment plant that you're talking about. This water is transmitted 45 kilometers from Kigoro to Gigiri tanks. Now, you have asked the implementation process. This process is complete because we have a treatment plant.
Yes.
We have the transmission main that brings water to Gigiri tanks, and from Gigiri tanks, this water now goes through Eastern Bypass and Western Bypass.
So does that mean the issue of rationing water is going to come to an end?
No. I have
Why
to
is
be
that?
honest with you.
Okay, why is that?
The demand in Nairobi, and I'll give you a solution to that too.
Okay.
The demand in Nairobi is about 900,000 meter cubic per day. The supply as we speak, inclusive of the 140,000 cubic that the NCT, the Northern Collector Tunnel, is bringing to Nairobi, is around 650,000 meter cubic. So we still have a deficit of around 250. How do we solve this problem? 2 ways. We go for groundwater, wells, because we need, as a country, to start taking groundwater as a key source of water. Secondly, we implement the Murang'a Master Plan. That's another conversation, because the Murang'a Master Plan is an integrated master plan that encompasses irrigation and also domestic water supply. Here I'm talking about another dam, very famous, called Maragua 4 Dam. That if we do Maragua 4 Dam, we give this dam can bring 140,000 meter cubic to Nairobi, can produce, has an ability to handle 140,000 meter cubic, but 20,000 meter cubic must remain for the people of Murang'a, and that is a lot of water in Murang'a. That would inject another 120 to Nairobi. So we must work with combined sources to solve that problem.
Okay.
But what I can tell you for sure is that when dry time comes, the rationing rates in Nairobi will a little bit reduce.
Okay.
Based on
the current
system.
Okay.
You have added 140 extra, so you expect that to definitely reduce.
So a reprieve of some sort that you expect.
It's a reprieve.
Okay, because
it's a step towards the right direction.
Okay. Since you're 3 months, or should I say almost 4 months into office, for many, they do not understand what your agenda is. Talk to us about what your agenda is for this particular docket of water, sanitation and irrigation. What should Kenyans expect from you in the next 3 years?
And thank you so much for that question. Water is life, and we all agree to that. Mm-hmm. And since I've come in, I've looked at the amount of money spread in water projects. When you look at the books, you'll find that we have so many ongoing projects. Like we speak, we have approximately 150 projects ongoing, incomplete. So we have a target to increase connectivity from the current 73% to around 85% by 2027. How do you do that if you don't complete the incomplete projects? So I have actually been boots on ground to unlock all and key projects that I think will aid to this agenda.
What are those key projects?
I have been to Machakos Water Project. This Machakos Water Project, they have, imagine the infrastructure is done, but because of land issues, they cannot build a dam by the name Miwongoni, as that is as late as yesterday. So there is infrastructure on the ground. It's like a river without a source. But without that dam, the infrastructure to a tune of almost 1.2 billion, total cost of the project, is not useful to the people of Machakos and its environments. The target here is complete the incomplete projects first. When that is done, now the impact of the money in the ministry will be felt because Mwananchi knows whether I have water at home or I don't. Mwananchi does not care about the empty big pipe on the road if it is empty. But if it has water, that is it. Number two, the ministry has a financing structure called NAWASIP, National Water and Sanitation Investment Plan. It's a vehicle. It's like a blueprint, a guide on how to raise investment. As we speak, this NAWASIP, we are marketing it to development partners because this is our vehicle packaged from projects in collaboration with county governments that will help us attain that 100% connectivity. We have some financing from World Bank in a project called K-Wash. K-Wash is a project that is meant to help marginalized counties, like 19 of them. And it also builds capacity. Because there's a training component in it for our water service providers. The question might be, why do we need training to build capacity? There's something we call non-revenue water. Non-revenue water is the water that is, imagine, I'll use the example of Kigoro. We have abstracted 140,000 from our rivers. We expect what gets to our homes cumulatively is also 140,000, correct? But because of losses along the way, we call them either physical or commercial losses. Physical losses are losses that you can actually see. You can see a leakage, correct? You can see a burst pipe, correct? But we also have commercial losses that you can't see, also known as apparent losses. Those are uncalibrated faulty meters. Your meter at home could be running, correct? But instead of reading the correct volume that has actually come to your house, it reads an erroneous volume because it is faulty. You see, you cannot see that. So we lose 43% of the water that we abstract from our rivers as we stand today. Those numbers vary from water service provider to another.
Is this the reason why you keep on saying we don't have a water crisis? We have water challenge.
We don't have a water crisis.
Okay.
We have a water challenge because it's about conservation. I am very keen on conservation of actually what we got. The structures we have, if you are serving 1,000 people, when we are losing 43% of that water, that means we can serve 1,400 people if we don't lose around there, correct? So if we conserve the little that we have already abstracted, so I'm very keen on reducing these water losses.
Okay.
For sustainability, because I say we don't charge people for water. we charge you for the service. Because imagine sitting here in Nairobi, bringing that water from Murang'a. So what we charge you is to maintain the system and ensure that there is continuity, operations and maintenance, because valves, washouts, they get worn out with time. They're like any mechanical parts.
Okay.
And we need to replace those and ensure that you have that water on your door every day.
So once these challenges are addressed, first of all, how long will it take to address those challenges? It could take years?
That takes years.
Okay.
Let's do a study and a benchmark from other countries. Countries that are very keen on water conservation. People who are keen not to lose their water have non-revenue values of less than 7. That is, go to Tokyo, Japan. Serving 14 million people with an accounted for water or non-revenue water of less than 7%. It's not about the size. Nairobi, how many people do you have in Nairobi? 10, 8, 9 million? But we are losing 43% of our water. It's a conversation that needs to be, it's a collective responsibility.
Okay.
Don't see a burst and don't report it. And when you report it, the water service provider is supposed to take action immediately. There's no room for laxity. And to curb this, we are trying to harmonize our Water Act because we are guided by the Water Act 2016.
Okay.
To allow double checks, redundancies, whereby we are trying to streamline. Once we abstract, we know exactly what we have abstracted. And once the water service provider, who is under the county government, does their metering, we compare what we abstracted with what they have actually metered. And we see where is the difference. And follow up along the chain. Where are we losing this?
Okay.
This is a difficult conversation to have. But for our posterity and for our future, it is one we must have.
So we're headed towards the right direction in terms of access to water.
We're in the right direction, but it will take patience and time. See, you have to sit here and tell Kenyans the truth.
Yeah.
We have what we call water police now. You see, there are people who will abstract illegal connections. Those are some of the losses I'm talking about. Someone who is not metered. So those are actually illegal connections because he doesn't pay for that service. And these guys could be very aggressive, and maybe the water service provider, the officers have a challenge dealing with them.
Okay.
So we have set up a unit of the police system called the water police. That is their job. If you are abstracting illegally, Ashley, and our officers are having a challenge to confront you, the police will confront you.
Okay.
This has worked in counties like Murang'a. They are all over. In our water service, water works development agencies. We're even asking the county government now to come in. If your NRW is very high, please engage the services of these officers. And wherever they have been engaged, we have seen very positive reduction in these water losses.
Okay.
And companies are generating money because they are metering more.
Okay.
Yes.
This is definitely a conversation that we will continue having, and we will continue assessing the progress.
I would be glad to have that one.
I will be calling you often.
Thank you.
Please, when you see my call, please just pick it up because we are doing the service to the nation, not just for us, but for Kenya in general, as we want our country to develop and reach greater heights.
Definitely.
So definitely this conversation will be continuing. Thank you so much. CS Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, that is Engineer Eric Mugaa. We take a short break here on KTN Prime, but we still have more stories lined up for you on the other side of the break.
Thank you.